The streets of Manila are bustling with cars. New office buildings, condominiums, restaurants and shopping malls seem to pop up on every corner, signalling the city's rapid transformation. Once solely dependent on labour exports, the more recent influx of investment has turned the Philippines into one of the fastest growing economies in Asia. Yet one thing remains unchanged. Apart from Vatican City, the centre of the Roman Catholic Church with approximately 800 citizens, including the Pope, cardinals, clergy and nuns, the Philippines remains the only other country in the world in which divorce remains forbidden. No matter the circumstance, whether couples grow to hate each other, are unfaithful, abandonment, irresponsibility, emotional or physical harm, or even threats to life, marriage here lasts, as they say in Christian wedding ceremonies, till death do they part.
I think, Ma'am, because mostly of the congressmen.
Stella Saibonga was only 18 when she walked down the aisle to get married. There was no love at first sight, but a one-night stand without protection resulted in pregnancy. In this deeply religious and conservative society, Stella was forced to marry the father-to-be.
The first time I met my husband in just a little barangay in my
neighborhood?
Yes, where I lived before. I was 18. He just played basketball. He's good in basketball. Then I was attracted to him when he played basketball. That is the first time we met. Then my friends asking, "Oh, there's a guy want to meet you, want to be friend with you." Then the night time, escorting me. Then I said yes. We're being a boyfriend and girlfriend already. That's the only one night he asked me for escorting me.
And what happened and why you have to end up marrying him?
Because after that, and when we having affair, then I got pregnant. He disappeared because he don't want me to marry, because he said he just only have fun for me, no involved feelings.
Life in a loveless marriage might not have been so terrible if her husband, an alcoholic, had not physically abused her almost daily. She was admitted to hospital several times as a result of the beatings. In many other countries, women like Stella would have the option to escape such violence through divorce. But not here. No matter the reason, a couple that no longer wishes to stay together cannot legally divorce. The primary barrier standing in their way is religion. The Roman Catholic Church, deeply embedded in Filipino society and culture, imposes three key obligations regarding marriage: unity, the inability to divorce, and the duty to bear children. The Church's influence extends beyond belief, shaping laws as well. The Philippines has enacted laws prohibiting contraception, recently relaxed, banning abortion, and prohibiting divorce altogether.
The Church is against the divorce simply because the Church stands by the statutes of God. And because God's original intention for a man and a woman is to be together in a lifelong commitment. That's why in the scriptures we find that man has to leave his own family to be with his wife, to be united with his wife.
Forever?
Forever. Two will become one flesh. Especially when they give, when a man and a woman give their free conscious consent of becoming a spouse to the other.
You mean when they
till
say
death.
yes in the church?
Yeah, it's in the sacrament. It's part of the covenant, of the vows they do in the sacrament of marriage or sacrament of matrimony. It is clearly asked from each of this spouse if they are willing to commit to one another as a husband or a wife, to be together till death do us part.
Stella isn't the only Filipina trapped in this situation. Many women endure failed marriages without any legal means to free themselves from their husbands. Couples who can no longer bear living together can only live separately. But the legal bond remains for life. Only the Muslim population, which constitutes about 10% of the country, can divorce under Islamic family law. The ban on divorce forces many couples in the Philippines, particularly those in abusive or unwanted marriages, to endure their circumstances without an escape. For Stella, when her patience ran out, she attempted to end her own life twice.
So you commit suicide?
Yes, when I caught them, then I just already blank, and then I said, it's okay, I cannot handle this time anymore. Then I commit suicide 2 times. But he caught me when I was hung in the house with the tie wire. Then the last time he hit me also with the big knife. I just hold my baby, then I ran away going out the street, and nobody knows. Because nobody knows, and because I didn't told anyone about what happened in my life inside the house. I just talk, I just keep quiet. Because many people already knows that I am the one who get married that man. That our marriage is only for sin.
At that moment, she saw death as the only way to escape her suffering, believing it was better than the unrelenting pain in both body and mind caused by her marriage. On Sundays and religious holidays, churches in the Philippines are packed with devout believers. Religion pervades every aspect of life here, directly and indirectly influencing people's views, customs, traditions, and most importantly, the law. The obligations outlined in religious teachings regarding marriage have become legal mandates. But the question remains, do they align with modern realities? As society evolves, so do people's attitudes and ways of life. Efforts to push for divorce laws in the Philippines have been ongoing for years. Supporters argue that such laws would improve the lives of many women, especially the poor and those facing domestic violence. A 2014 survey showed that over half of Filipinos support legalizing divorce.
It does not acknowledge the realities. It is so difficult to see the couples living in hell with each other.
It would be helpful for those who have no means of filing for a declaration of nullity. So some people have been separated for 10 years, for 20 years, but they have no means. They don't have money they don't have money to get a lawyer, get a psychologist.
The growing desire to be able to divorce legally and the louder calls for change have once again challenged the laws and influence of the Church. In 2018, the House of Representatives surprised the public by passing a bill allowing divorce. With a vote of 134 to 57, the lower house passed the bill, strongly supported by Pantaleon Alvarez, the Speaker of the House at the time. He urged religious leaders to accept that we live in a changing world, arguing that it is unreasonable to force people to remain in loveless marriages, especially since the country is now the only one in the world with such a ban. Amid opposition and protests, the divorce bill eventually passed through the House of Representatives and was brought before the Senate for consideration. Ultimately, though, it didn't receive enough votes to become law. Many senators voiced their objections, partly due to concerns over losing a significant political support base, the church. As a result, while the bill was a significant step forward in legislative discussions about divorce, it failed to become law at that time. One of the most recognizable and notable opponents of legalization is Manny Pacquiao, the world-renowned boxer turned politician. A devout Christian, Pacquiao grew up dreaming of becoming a priest and always carried a Bible to his boxing training sessions. Pacquiao comes from a separated family, but his own marriage when he was 19 has been smooth with his wife and their 5 children. In addition to opposing divorce, Pacquiao also condemns LGBTQ+ people as sinful. President Duterte, who served as the president of the Philippines from 2016 to 2022, would have been the one to ultimately sign or reject the bill if it had been passed by Parliament. His spokesperson indicated that the president opposed it, believing that divorce would harm children. This opposition was compounded by public protests against the divorce bill, with many religious citizens claiming that the law would destroy the sanctity of marriage and family, institutions the government is duty-bound to protect.
If you want to see more great content from all over the world, please like the video, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you.
While divorce remains illegal for the non-Muslim majority in the Philippines to this day, those trapped in unwanted marriages have few options. Apart from death, the only way to legally end a marriage is to file for an annulment. An annulment means the marriage never occurred or was invalid, even if the couple has lived together for 20 or 30 years and have children. The number of annulments has risen steadily over the past decade, not including those who wish to divorce but can't afford to go to court. The exact number of such individuals is unknown. For women like Stella, whose irresponsible and abusive husband isn't man enough to release her and who failed at suicide, annulment is the only remaining path to freedom.
The last time after I found my boyfriend and he wanted to marry me, I said, I cannot marry you because I am still married. Okay, you file a divorce. No, we don't have divorce here in the Philippines. We just only annulment. But annulment is very expensive and very long process. And he said, it's okay, I can wait.
The day you decide to file for annulment until today is already 8 years, right?
Yes, I thought, yes, no, 7.
7 years.
7 years.
And it's not completed.
Not completed. Even I have the court already decided that my annulment is already granted, but the problem is the Solicitor General.
Annulments are costly and difficult, especially for those without money or influence. The legal fees alone start at around $5,000, an enormous sum in a country where the average daily income is just $10. In addition to legal representation, substantial evidence and psychiatric evaluations are also required. The person seeking an annulment must prove to the court that one spouse is incapacitated or suffering from a mental impairment, which are the only grounds the court accepts for declaring a marriage void. Infidelity, abuse, or other issues arising after the marriage is initially sanctified cannot be used as grounds for annulment.
With that narration, you have to show the physical manifestations by which will show that there is psychological incapacity.
Once the court declares the marriage void, it is deemed never to have existed. If there's no marriage, there is no need for divorce. Without divorce, it doesn't violate religious or legal principles, and remarriage becomes possible. Wealthier couples in the Philippines, particularly those with means to legally terminate or undo their marriages, commonly opt for annulments. In one high-profile case, a wealthy individual paid $1 million pesos, or around $17,000 for their freedom, more than 3 times the country's average annual income. An impossibility for the majority of Filipinos seeking escape from unhappy unions.
You have to hire, yes, of course. If you want to file a case for nullity of marriage, you have to get a lawyer, to get a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist who is an expert in these kinds of cases. So you pay them, and you file. When you file the case in court, you pay the filing fee, and as the case progresses, of course, yeah, you pay your lawyer.
As well as a lot of money, the annulment process also takes a long time. For Stella, her new foreign lover has helped cover the costs. But she's still far from being free, despite the case being in court for nearly a decade. Surviving her husband's beatings and the ordeal of proving to the court why her marriage should be annulled has been painful and exhausting. Yet she continues to wait, uncertain of the outcome.
I don't know, Mom. That's the big problem also. Maybe I don't know what happened. Maybe we just live without married, or if my boyfriend want. If there's nothing happen, maybe he left us, or I don't know what happened. That's why I'm asking myself, what happened to us if my boyfriend living with us? Because I'm just only defending on my boyfriend.
Beyond the law, cultural norms bring prejudice. Despite her suffering, Stella's attempt to annul her marriage is seen as inappropriate by her family and neighbours, so she chooses to speak to us away from them. Even deep personal suffering cannot tear down the walls of faith for many. No matter what happens, they believe she must endure in the sanctity of an irrevocable, abusive marriage. In 2012, the Philippine Congress passed a historic law which contradicted religious principles. Naturally, it was vehemently opposed by the Catholic Church. This law on contraception and family planning aimed to control population growth and address public health issues caused by high birth rates. This victory brought relief to many women facing unwanted pregnancies and having too many children. After a 14-year battle, the law was finally enacted. But there have been practical obstacles as ideological opponents continue to resist. The Church has criticized the Department of Health's policy of distributing condoms, pressured the responsible minister to resign, and called for a ban on condom advertisements. Likewise, the divorce law, which also contradicts religious principles, faces similar opposition. Although the bill was rejected in 2018, the effort to get it into the statute books has never waned. A new draft of the divorce bill, known as House Bill 9349, was approved by the House of Representatives as recently as May the 22nd, 2024, by a vote of 131 to 109. This new draft shares similar objectives with the 2018 version, and is now at the same stage at which its predecessor fell: consideration by the Senate. If this bill passes the Senate, though, the final step is for the President to sign it into law. The President can either approve it or veto it. If approved, it will lead to the creation of regulations governing divorce proceedings within the new legal framework. While there is optimism among supporters, including some senators, and President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., who's expressed openness to the idea of divorce, significant opposition remains among conservative groups, especially the Catholic Church, which has historically influenced legislation on family matters in the Philippines. Public sentiment, though, does appear to be shifting in favor of legalizing divorce. Recent surveys indicate that around 50% of Filipino adults support it, reflecting changing attitudes in the country towards entering into marriage and getting back out of it.
So I bring my daughter, and after
The passage of this landmark bill through the Senate and its subsequent signing into law could offer a lifeline to countless Filipinos trapped in abusive or unhappy marriages. It will determine whether Filipino marriages will allow couples to part ways when they no longer wish to stay together, or whether they will remain in lifelong contracts till death do they part.